part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Ray Guy and Rhoda podcast, powered by MGM Northfieldpark, here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our producer extraordinaire, tip of the cap to Dave Emmert, making sure you in the podcatosphere get this edition of the Ray Guy and Rhoda podcast. And Michael, I've been saying all season long, the Steelers stink. The offensive line is terrible. Mike Tomlin should be fired. Ben's old. And if all those are true, what's that say about the Cleveland Browns after they lost and blew another fourth quarter lead today to the Steelers at home in Cleveland, First Energy Stadium, 15-10. That's an embarrassing loss by the Browns today.
It says it's a very disappointing loss, to be sure. No question about that. And one that they got to figure some things out, Kenny, and quick. And we'll get into that because offensively right now, this thing is in a real downward spin.
Yep.
And it's not on one guy. We'll get into it all, but I expect more from Kevin Stefanski too, and that's got to be where this begins to find a way to get out of this abyss that they're in, because they're in one. There's no question about that.
This team, Michael, I went back and looked at it. They've lost 4 games now. They're 4-4. They're 500, right?
That's right.
And in 3 of their 4 losses, Michael Regai, all right, I wanted to make sure because I thought this was the case, but I wasn't sure. But you know what? I got time before we start taping this podcast. I'm going to go back and look. Today against the Steelers, Browns led 10-9 in the fourth quarter with 12 minutes to go of that game. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, Browns led 29-20 with 10:24 to go in the fourth quarter there. And against the San Diego LA Superchargers, the Browns led 27-21 with 11 minutes to go. And then came back, retook the lead, led 42-35 with 4:45 left. So in all 3 of those games, and in 3 of their 4 losses, the other one was a blowout loss to the Cardinals.
Right.
The Browns have led in the fourth quarter and have been unable to either close the game running out the clock or to rally with Baker Mayfield at the helm and come back and score a game-winning touchdown. And like I said, that has them at 4-4 through 8 games of this season, a very average at best football team.
That's what they are. You know, how many times you and I, we'll go Bill Parcells here.
Yeah,
that's right. Browns are a very average, mediocre football team right now. They're 4-4. And Kenny, I'll tell you, you just hit on it for me. This thing about not being able to close, that in and of itself makes you mediocre, makes you average, makes you less than. And I don't know how the hell you expect to, with everything that you've got in mind, you, the football team, about where coming off last season, now you're going to go to this year and all the expectations. Man, when you can't close football games, Ken, once in a while, sure. Even the best, okay, we got to lead in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But to me, the good ones, maybe one time a season, Ken. One time you blow a fourth quarter lead, right?
Right.
You just laid it out. They're not even at the halfway point. That's an odd number of games now, 17. So, okay, We'll just say they're at the halfway point. 3 of the 4 losses have been with fourth quarter leads. Well, to me, then you should be 6-2. 6-2 at minimum at 4-4. The Jets, of all people, gave the Browns a little bit of help today, and the Steelers and the Ravens.
Right.
They beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Listen, I know a lot of people like, well, the season's over this team. No. I mean, listen, you still got 9 football games to play. However, as we're going to get into, there are things that are showing up, Ken, that are glaring, and they have got to get it stopped right now.
Where do you want to start, Michael? What's the most glaring thing to Michael Regai when you've watched these 8 games, right? 4-4, we've mentioned it. What sticks out the most for you?
I'm always more, I'm going to lean toward the blame on the players, Kenny, but I got to tell you, during some of these losses, I'm a little bit confused offensively as to what are Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt trying to create and where are their game plans going. And like today, it seemed like it just hodgepodged its way through the football game. I mean, again, to me, why are you getting away from the run? Isn't that what you are?
Yeah.
Why? How many carries did Nick Chubb have today?
I made
12?
sure I looked at this. He had 16, Michael. He ended up with 16.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I looked in the full, but still, to me, that's not enough. That's not enough. I always feel like it's got to be 18 to 20 for him. So you could say I'm splitting hairs a little bit there, but I know one time in the fourth quarter he was sitting at 11. And you know, I don't know if this is what you are. And Kenny too, what are the red zone issues?
Oh man.
Where does that emanate from? What do you think? I mean, this team they get in the red zone and it looks like they get tight to me. It looks like, the field constricts. Yes, it does for everybody. But they got to get that figured out, Ken. I mean, their red zone efficiency is atrocious.
Their fourth down situations on offense and defense, atrocious as well. They went for it again today, 4th and inches, and at least this time they ran the ball, Michael, but instead of running it up the middle on 4th and inches or maybe they didn't do the quarterback sneak because Baker's got a bad shoulder. They go to the outside and get tackled for a loss. Yep. And you just sit there and you scratch your head and what the hell's going on? I mean, Michael, let's go back to the opening drive, right?
Okay.
Looks like, they're scripted that opening drive.
That's
boom.
right.
Now they get the ball. They're going right down the field. And it was a little high, but it's a catchable ball by Austin Hooper, the tight end there. He catches that. He walks in the end zone. It's 7-0 Browns on the opening drive. And instead, Hooper drops it. They fail to, get any yardage on the next couple of downs. So they've got to kick a field goal. So at least they got some points out of it this time, right? They settled for 3, should have had 7, Michael. And then on the very next drive, 4th and 1 at the Steelers 39, and Chubb is stopped on the outside run. And so 2 possessions in the first quarter inside the Steelers 40-yard line, they came away with 3 points.
3 points. 3 points, and you're looking at 14. There was the max, right? And you come up with 3.
Yep.
So you're keeping, as you would say, you're keeping an average football team, the Steelers, in the game right there. Yep. You're not maximizing red zone trips. And then today, look, Baker wasn't real sharp. I don't think he had the his normal, accuracy with him today, ball placement and what have you. But I counted 6 drops.
Yeah.
And some of them, and of all people, yes, I'm going to tell you, when Jarvis Landry starts dropping the ball, you damn right I'm surprised. Yes, that's not been him in his entire career, Ken. You know that. Jarvis is one of the most sure-handed guys in the National Football League. Then to top it off, and again, I'm going to always, I thought it was which safety was it? He catches that square in route, and which Steeler safety was it? He ripped the ball away from him.
Actually, you know who it was? They credited it to Joe Schobert. They gave Schobert the credit.
They did? For the rip away?
Yeah, for the rip away.
Really?
They gave the forced fumble and the recovery.
And they gave it to Schobert?
Yeah.
I'll be damned. Okay.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Was safety. But the point is, again, and I'm not saying that to alleviate Jarvis in the fourth quarter. He dropped 2, and that fumble. Okay, real good play by Schobert, then fine, but still, man, that's going in when you're going in to take the lead. And like I said, the only thing I'm going to stick up for him and say is this guy is not a fumbler. He's not a guy who drops passes, and to see that happen to him today, Ken, multiple times, damn, man. I mean, damn, that's that. It's just not a day where you're going to win then.
Here's the 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 8 at the Pittsburgh 32. Mayfield pass short to Landry for 20 to the pit, 21 for 11 yards. Schobert forces fumble. My bad. TJ Watt with the recovery and halts that drive, stops it at the Steelers' 21-yard line. And Michael, 2 drops and a fumble for Jarvis Landry, right?
That's right.
One target. Was that all it was today for OBJ? Was it one target late in the game?
He caught an 8-yard
did he? Okay.
quick game route in the first half, I believe. But this thing and I don't know, I'm trying to watch Ken, and you really got to have the all 22 to do it if you're not there. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Odell is really going full, gas on the pedal when he's running his routes. Well, I'm just not. And again, I just said it. I'll say it again. I didn't see an all 22 yet, and I wasn't there today. So because it's just glaring. If he's out there for, I think, 52, 53 snaps, how in the hell are you only going to target him twice?
Yeah. Michael.
There's a big disconnect there with him and Baker.
Yeah.
Kenny, and I'm going to raise my hand and say, I always wanted to kind of say, no. It's not as bad as people are making it out to be. You know what? I guess I'm wrong. I guess it is that bad because it's not right. It is not right. They never had any of these issues when he was a New York Giant. They were finding a way. He was targeted 10 to 15 times every game. Every game.
Officially today, targeted once, but that's because the second pass came over the middle late in the game.
He put his right hand up.
Yeah, his one hand trying to catch it.
Yeah.
And Baker was rough. There was a roughing penalty, so that goes as a no play. So really 2 targets, that's it. And all those great one-handed catches. Now, I will say this. As I was driving out to Jersey Sports Bar and Grill in Canton to be with the Stark County Browns backers, as I'm there every Sunday or whenever the Browns play, I always listen to the pregame show, right? The network pregame show.
Okay.
And Andrew Gribble had a sit-down with Jarvis Landry, and he said he's trying to play through this, but it limits how high he can raise his arms when he's on the field, okay? Mm-hmm. If that's the case then, as a receiver, what's important, Michael? Your arms and your hands, right? You've got to be able to high point the football. You got to be able to reach out and get it. If that's limiting you in what you can do, then sit down. Don't play. Let somebody else who's healthy, maybe not as talented as you, but healthy, go out there and play. And let's be honest, he hasn't really contributed much when he's been healthy for this team. So would it really hurt them to sit him down or maybe trade him by Tuesday's trading deadline at 4:00 Eastern time and go without him? So, Landry was playing with a bum knee today. Maybe that had something to do with the concentration. I don't know. He looked fine running the football when they got the first down and it was Hooper dropped the touchdown pass, Landry with 2 drops, OBJ. Hey, he's supposed to be one of the greatest receivers in the game. One-handed catches are what he does best. And I agree with you. He gave a half-hearted effort, afraid to get popped on that shot over the middle. Did Baker hang him out a little bit? Yes, it was high. But you got to go up. If you're going to be in there and you're $15 million a year wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., Mr. One-Handed Catch, you've got to sell out and try and make that catch, and I don't think he did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to dispute that at all, and that's what I mean. I resisted it, but there's a disconnect between those two. Yeah, I can't resist it anymore and make off like I'm done. They'll figure it out. They'll get it done. They're halfway through the season right now, and this is going back to last year, and it's obviously that Mayfield doesn't have a lot of confidence in him because Kenny, if he did, he'd say, "Oh, that's not true." Well, baloney. If he did and he had trust and confidence in him, he'd be targeting him more and throwing the football to the $15 million guy. And he's not. I'm not saying every one of the individuals. Maybe there are times he misses them. Mayfield, I'm saying, when he should go to them. I saw one of those today. They did kind of show an all 22 where he was kind of underneath on a crossing route. I think it was on a 3rd and 6. Would have put the first down. Baker tried to go to the next level and hit Rashard Higgins and had it broken up. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Now Baker's staying away from him, Kenny, when he is open. Oh, baby. Now we got some real fireworks that potentially can happen.
1 catch, 6 yards. I believe that is the fewest catches in yards in an NFL game in his career.
I believe it is. Yes.
They're 4-4, 500 this is when the shit starts to hit the fan, Michael, in these situations, right? When you're 5-3, when you're 6-2, and you're winning, and
nobody says anything.
Right now, it's 4-4. Let's see if that locker room is all kumbaya this week, like it's been to this point, right?
There you go. And I was talking to my son Cal about that today, and that's you just hit it. That's my thing, Kenny. I am going to keep close tabs on this locker room now.
Yeah,
because we know, all it takes is somebody to say something, whether that's to the media or even if something is said to each other that is contentious. We know what happens when, as we say all the time, there's only 17 of these damn things, man. And when you start losing football games that you're expected to win and you should win, well, that's and with as you said earlier, with all the expectations on this football team, it wouldn't surprise me in the least. I hope that's wrong too. I hope these guys are professional enough to say, let's get this damn thing figured out and not start pointing fingers and going after one another. Right. But we know that happens in the National Football League all the time.
So, Michael, as we look at the glaring problem, have we come to the conclusion that it's not one glaring problem? There are multiple problems for this team underachieving at 4-4?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And now, you can say, well, the defense played well today. They certainly played well enough to win, Ken.
It was the Steelers' offense. Let's be honest here now. The Steelers aren't lighting up the scoreboard.
They're not.
And they have a bad offensive line and an old quarterback. So you would hope that the defense could keep the Steelers under 20. And if you would have told me before the game, Browns defense going to hold the Steelers to 15 points, I'd say that was a double. They'd win the game,
right?
Browns are going to win. Yeah.
I would have thought to me if you hold them at 20 or under, the Browns are going to win.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, offensively today, I'm sorry, I just a lot of disconnect. I just felt there was no flow to what they were doing offensively. Emmett, run the ball on first down a little bit. All those possessions in the fourth quarter, Baker threw almost every one of those to start the drive out. He threw the football on first down. I mean, why? When the ball's, you're not backed up. I just didn't really understand it. That's why I mentioned as we started tonight, Stefanski and Van Pelt too. They got to really take a look at some things about what they're trying to accomplish with their game plans.
I agree with you, Michael, 100%. They got to look in the mirror too, because they're a big part of the problem as well. Let's do this. Let's get a break in. And as we go to break, it was 3-3 at the half, right?
Yeah.
But right before the half, Mike Tomlin with a huge brain fart and tried to give the Browns the game when he tried to run a fake field goal, and Chris Boswell gets knocked into next week and he's out for the rest of the game. So they got no field goal kicker, no extra point guy, and no kickoff guy. So you're going to have field positioning in your favor if you're the Browns. They're not going to kick a field goal to win the game or tie the game, and they got to go for 2 points, and yet the Browns couldn't capitalize. And we'll talk more about that, what went on in the second half when we return to the R&R podcast powered by MGM Northfieldpark right after this. Hey, the Roadman Kenny Rhoda here for Northfieldpark, and Northfieldpark's your home for live and simulcast racing, but we want to remind you about the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday evening. Post time is 6 p.m. They're open early every day for simulcast action as well. And check this out. In the month of November on Wednesdays, all right, it's Cookware Giveaway Wednesday. That's right. Guests deposit their non-winning Northfieldpark Mutual tickets starting at 6 p.m. into the gold barrel to be eligible for a drawing to win a piece of cookware each week. Drawings take place on Thursday mornings, and winners will have until the following Tuesday to claim their prize. You can enter to win on November 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th. And also, don't forget about the weekly Sunday handicapping contest featuring Belmont Park. Top prize is $500 each week. Registration there begins at 11 a.m. And the Breeders' Cup World Championships are this weekend, Friday and Saturday, November 5th and 6th. Visit Northfield Park to watch and wager on the exciting racing action from Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Free admission and free parking every day at Northfield Park.
Hello, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of the Producing While Asian podcast. Join us to listen in on conversations with everyone who identify from producers to non-producers who all are part of the AAPI community. There's all that and more on the Producing While Asian podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Listen, it is beyond time for you to join a book club. I know you've been thinking about it and everyone's doing it. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
And welcome back to the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast, brought to you by Northfieldpark. They're your home for live and simulcast racing. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfieldpark. And Michael, it's 3-3 at the break, right? So I'm sitting there again at Jerseys with the Stark County Browns bag. Everybody's coming up to, I said, relax. Browns are going to take the opening drive. When they get it in the second half, they're going to go down and score 10-3, ball game over. Don't worry about it, right? So the
you
Steelers
tried to calm all the woes of the Browns fans at Jerseys. Nice.
Right. So, and what happened? Steelers 3 and out. Browns get the ball. They go down. They score 10-3. I'm thinking ball game, man. Game's over. Steelers ain't scoring. You know, their offense is putrid. They have trouble running the ball, throwing the ball. They ain't got no field goal kicker anymore. I'm thinking Browns are going to, hold them, get the ball back. It's going to be 17-3 before you know it, and ball game's over. Well, guess what? I was wrong on that. Not only did the Steelers didn't, lay down and die and roll over, they come back immediately after the 10-3 Browns lead to make it 10-9, went for 2, didn't get it because of a penalty, and then came back and eventually took the lead, Michael. And it's like, all right, opening drive right down the field, even though they stalled and only got 3. Opening drive, second half, right down the field, touchdown. They take the lead. But what about all the other drives, Michael? Where was that in all of the other drives, the rest of the game, and even in the first half?
And that's what I mean about there's just no continuity with how they're playing offensive football right now. There will be a leak that'll show up, whether it's the run game for a series suddenly going away. And then, we're finding out too, don't think for a minute that Kareem Hunt isn't missed.
Yeah.
Because he is. But that having been said, we're not going to start that. The Browns have had their share of injuries. There's no doubt about that. To say anything else would be ridiculous. However, do we not know that virtually every football team in the NFL has to deal with that and go through that?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's not even a thing for me. That's a non-starter for me. They miss Kareem Hunt. Sure, he's injured. He's out. And not sure when they're going to get him back. But that having been said, no, today, just no flow consistency at all, as you're pointing out by mentioning the 2 drives to open up the football game in the third quarter. I mean, after that, again, Baker was I thought he was holding the football too long on many, many dropbacks, Ken.
Yeah.
Baker's at his best to me, and if it's only, sometimes it's just a 3-step drop, but boom, zip, that football's out. I think that's when the Browns are at their best. Baker on 5 and 7 step drops, when he starts patting the football a little bit and hold it. Man, normally good things aren't happening. And again, there are times when Stefanski and Van Pelt will look to get him out of the pocket, off that play action waggle, Kenny. I'm not sure that's, you say, forget about saying it's not about fooling a defense, but that is supposed to influence a defense, right?
Yep.
Influence a defense to put you in position with matchups that you want. Kenny, I don't see. I don't know when the last time is that they've got a big time play when they needed it off that particular, whether it's their personnel group and how they're pretty much going to, Kenny, 13 personnel a lot, man. 1 running back and then with 3 tight ends now.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby, that's their bread and butter. It really is. If you watch it a lot, I'm telling you, the majority of the snaps, you've got the 3 tight ends on the football field. 2 for sure all the time, if not 3.
Michael, I just looked at the touches, right?
Yeah.
And maybe because this was his first game back from a calf injury, maybe I'll throw that out there before I give the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why they didn't feature Nick Chubb as much today. Maybe. But Najee Harris, the Steelers feature running back, 29 touches today, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. That's combining running and receiving out of the backfield. Nick Chubb, 17 touches, 69 yards, no touchdowns. You would think, right? The veteran would be the one you feature more. You would think you would want to get him the ball as much as possible. Now, like I said, if he was dinged and he wasn't 100% and he's playing because everybody else is hurt, that's fine. Dearness Johnson scored the touchdown on the ground for you today. He's coming off a 146-yard rushing game. Why not? He's got a burst, Michael.
How many carries did he have today, by the way? I didn't look.
Dearness, John, 4 carries, 22 yards and a touchdown, averaging over 5 yards a carry. He only gave him the ball 4 times.
Yeah.
And so between the 2 running backs right there, that's 20 carries. That's not enough for a run-dominant team. They've got to run the ball more. Stefanski, I'm starting to wonder about this guy. Is he trying to develop Baker Mayfield? Is he worried about Baker's contract, trying to get him some numbers? Or you got to put the team first, man. You've got to prioritize and say, what is best for our team to win? And all the other stuff is secondary to that. And so going back to what you said during our first segment about Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt, they got to look in the mirror, man, and say, all right, are we putting our team in the best position to win? The answer is no. Not offensively.
No, that's right. It's broken right now, and they're going to have to do something about it real quick because, going down to Paul Brown Stadium next week, you're going to get an angry group of Bengals. We're going to talk about that. They got beat today. But now you got to go, again, you got to go get this offense back to being dialed in and do it on the road. And we're going to find out what kind of mindset Stefanski and Van Pelt have to get that done successfully this week. Because, Kenny, right now, I couldn't tell you which direction they're going to go in or how they're going to do it because there's too many things that are, if not broken, they're certainly out of sorts. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got this whole thing out of sorts now, and normally even the Mayfield security blanket, Rashard Higgins today, I thought, man, a couple bad routes dropped for him today. It just wasn't there in any way, shape, or form.
All right, Michael, this is going to sound like a broken record, but until he does something about it, I'm going to bring it up. And you don't want to put all the blame on Baker Mayfield. But, Michael, and I went back, I looked at those numbers, right? Again, where the Browns had 3 games that they've lost where they had a fourth quarter lead. Yeah. Also, in all 3 of those losses, the quarterback who wants to be paid like a franchise quarterback at $40 million a year. And if he's in there, then I'm not using the shoulder harness as an excuse. Sorry, then don't play if it's going to affect how you play. So you're out there. I'm not using that. And I'm not giving him the easy out on that. In all 3 of those losses that I mentioned, the Browns have had a chance to either A, run out the clock against the Chargers, or B, had the ball down late with a chance to have one of those walk-off wins or one of those late comeback wins. They had 2 chances to win it today, twice. Now, the first one, not his fault. Throws the ball to Jarvis Landry on the money. Landry fumbles at the Steelers 20. Then they get the ball back again. They get down to the Steelers 26 and unable to punch it in again. They had 2 chances against the Chiefs to win it late in the game. 7:04 and 2:49 left. Punt and an interception. They had a chance to win with 1:31 left against the Chargers. Turnover on downs. Michael, I'm sorry. I don't see franchise quarterback. I don't see one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the National Football League in Baker Mayfield. And ain't no way I'm giving him anywhere north of $20 million a year to play quarterback for me if I'm trying to keep him, if I'm Andrew Berry in that front office. I'm sorry. I just don't see it in him when the opportunity is there. Your job as a franchise quarterback, no matter who's in, who's hurt, who's not, is to raise the level of play of your team and find a way to win. And Baker Mayfield, yes, he has 7 fourth quarter comeback wins, Michael, but those are, categorized. If you trailed by at least 1 point as the fourth quarter starts and you come back and win, you get credit for that. So he's had maybe 3 that were late game ones, right?
Yep.
And recently this season, 3 chances in 3 different games against 3 good teams, and he is 0 for 3.
What you're saying is not wrong. And as we know, listen, this is what it is in the National Football League. Again, every quarterback multiple times, you're going to be judged and based on and evaluated on fourth quarters and what you do, especially when games are tied or you're behind.
Yep.
I mean, and then does that sum up the bottom line of how quarterbacks are evaluated? That's what it's going to be.
Right.
Yes. Is
fair
it
or unfair,
fair?
right?
Doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's always fair or unfair. That's what I said. I would throw in today because it's a fact. I wouldn't say it. The Browns dropped 6 balls today. Yep. Now, you going to tell me if Jarvis Landry, though, makes it, you want me to say, 100% Browns are going to go in and win. Based on what? Right. With their red zone deficiencies. Based on what? I'm not going to say that. So, look, that's what we mean about Stefanski and Van Pelt. They got to get this thing straightened out, especially, with an eye, to me, an eye on the red zone. But Kenny, back to your original thing, this is all going to be, I'm going to say Andrew Berry with a little bit of a taste of Kevin Stefanski in it. Wouldn't you think about whether or not Baker Mayfield is going to get extended? I'm starting to lean toward they're just going to give him the 5th year, right? They got that. They can do that if they choose to.
Sure. I'm
thinking right now tonight on October 31st, Halloween night, spooky, scary. That's what the Browns, that's what they're, I would say if you put true serum on Andrew Berry, that's what he'd answer us right now. We're going to let this play out and make our decision at the end of the year.
And you know what? They can always wait till the end of next season.
They can. You're right.
Because they can franchise him for one more year after that if they're still not sure and there's not a better option out there. And Kirk Cousins went through that and eventually got paid, right?
That's right.
So,
now, Baker and his representation aren't going to like that.
No,
you may have an unhappy quarterback. But
do
again,
something about it.
It's a big boy league.
Right.
This is the big boy league.
Here's what I'll give you an example. Exactly that, Michael. Everybody, when Baker was at Oklahoma and he went to Ohio State, he beat Ohio State, and he planted the flag in the middle. Everybody, all the Buckeye fans got upset with it. And I said, why are you upset? You don't want him to plant the flag. Don't let him beat you.
There you go. It's real simple. Yeah.
It is. That's how I was, brought up in sports as a competitor, man. You don't like it. Don't throw at somebody's head in baseball. Don't take a cheap shot at him in football. Beat them. That way they don't get to do that shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what I mean. And again, I got, I don't know if we were still together, but, so many things. I'm like, hey, Ohio State fans with that, slow down. The dude just came into your place and kicked your ass. He basically can do anything the hell he wants. You can say you don't like it, but you know what? Then win. Real simple.
Bottom line.
Win. So, sure. But I,
now the shoe's on the other foot, Michael.
Well, it is.
Okay.
I want to
if they franchise him, and he doesn't like it, then you know what? You should have did something the previous season to get an extension instead of a 1-year trial.
Of course. No, that's the bottom line. And I'm gonna completely understand if that's the way that, because Andrew Berry will be the one that he's the one that will discuss it.
Yeah.
Whether or not it is completely his 100% decision. I'm sure he will. The ownership's going to have a say so in that too. But I mean, can they want to believe that he's their franchise quarterback? That's the way they want to proceed. I want to believe that. I've said that on our R&R podcast. I want to believe that he is. I believe he's I like his tenacity. I like the way that, the grit he shows. But again, fourth quarters now, you're going to have to start doing it. You're going to have to start doing it to reach that echelon. Nobody asked those things about Aaron Rodgers. Nobody asked those things about Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. Ben Roethlisberger, as we know throughout most of his career, has been the king of the fourth quarters. And so there's 6, 7, 8 guys. Hell, Matthew Stafford's got the more fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history because he played on an atrocious football team who was losing all the time. But you got to do it. You got to do it. And this is how Baker, there's no question about that. This is how, when the bottom line comes and all of the this, that, and the others are done, that's how he's going to be looked at. You got to win games when you're tied or losing in the fourth quarter, period, to be not an effective quarterback, to be considered a quarterback that's got it, right?
Without question.
Have to do
without question. Like we said, fair or unfair, that's the way it is in the National Football League. And right now, Browns are 4-4. He's 0-3 in late game situations this year against good teams. Michael, real quick before we get to break.
Yeah.
The 4 wins: Minnesota, Chicago, Denver, Texas. As I totaled this record? Up, 10-19 before we started this podcast. Okay. Yeah. Their 4 losses: Steelers, Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, 16-11. So they've beaten teams with a combined 344 winning percentage. They've lost to teams with almost a 600 winning percentage. So
it's got to change.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's got to change. You got 2 left. You got 2 with Cincinnati. First one next week. They're above 500. You got 2 with the Baltimore. What are the Ravens? 5-1. Well, they're above 500.
5-2. Yeah.
So you got 4 with those 2 teams right there in your own division.
Right.
So you know what? You better damn well win 2 of them. Kind of be nice if you won 3, but you better damn well win 2 of them.
A lot of football left, 9 games to go, but the Browns need to turn this around, figure it out quickly. And when we come back in our final segment here on the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast, we'll give you our final thoughts and what those turnaround points must be for the Browns to make a shot, or I should say, have a shot at making the playoffs this year, when we all thought, at least I did, that they'd win the division, let alone make the playoffs. And they're a far cry from that right now.
Hey everyone, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. Backed by popular demand, I'm excited to let you know that new episodes of the Hyman Podcast will drop every other Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're going to continue the conversations we started last season and keep having those hard conversations. There is so much in store for you this season, and I'm excited to share it with you. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single moment. The Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Tito, host of the Premier Fantasy Podcast. Get all the news and analysis you need to dominate your fantasy league. I've been doing this as long as anybody in the business. I can help give you the edge in your leagues. It's the Premier Fantasy Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Want to hear more about your favorite TV shows and movies that are on countless streaming services?
Then listen to Up Next with your new favorite hosts, me, Kristen Aviles,
and me, Christina Walter.
Every other week, we'll highlight one genre, but 2 movies or TV shows, one old and one new.
We'll let you know what's hot and what's not from your favorite
or least favorite
streaming services.
And be sure to stay tuned to the end of each episode, where we shout out an artist whose name you should know for their talent in the industry.
So follow us to stay up to date with your favorite hosts from Up Next,
a part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome back. Final segment here of the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast, recapping the Browns' 15-10 home loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers today. And Michael, Red Guy, the biggest thing that I take away from this is the inability to close yet again. We've talked about it throughout the podcast. Today, the Chargers, the Chiefs had leads, blew the leads, had chances to come back and win it in the end, failed to do so. And Baker's got to step his game up. If he's going to play with that harness and that shoulder the rest of the season, then I don't want to hear about it anymore. Don't want to hear about it, okay? If that's how it's going to be, then shut up about it. He's wearing the harness. Just go make plays. And this football team has some serious soul searching to do and some What's the saying? That we need to look at it from 20,000 feet, everything from 20,000 feet. Yeah, there's a lot to look at for the Cleveland Browns at 4-4 through the first 8 games.
Yeah, there really is. And what we've touched on in the first couple of segments is certainly magnified today. Again, that's a big-time winnable football game.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to tell me that, we can't say anything of putting a blame on the defense today because, I mean, they gave up 15 points is all they gave up.
Yep.
In the National Football League. I mean, you got to win that. You got to win that game 9.5 times out of 10, Ken. I mean, you can't lose in the NFL when you're only having to deal with putting up 16 points to win a football game because your defense has done a damn good job. I don't care who it is against. You can be against the Houston Texans. I don't care. The Detroit Lions. If your defense only gives up 15, damn it, you got to win that football game. And that's clearly on the shoulders of Kevin Stefanski, his offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, and that entire offensive squad because the job, it just didn't get done today by any stretch of the imagination. And as you said, I probably could we say the Steelers played one of their best defensive games of the year today?
Yes, they played very well today defensively.
Yeah.
That's what they're known for. They're not great like years past Blitzburg defenses. So when you look at what they did today against supposedly a healthy, very good offense on paper, yeah, one of their better games.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing now. As we said, we know what's coming up now, right?
Yep.
You got to go to Cincinnati next week, and they're coming off a loss. And again, so now they put themselves in a position. Remember we were talking about last week when they were 3-3,
yep,
and how much you don't want to go below 500, Ken.
Right.
Not in the AFC North and trying to in the same look. Yeah, Buffalo and Kansas City, man. Right? I mean, Buffalo and Kansas City, they're going to be there. So you cannot afford to start to playing around 500 football. So at what point then, by saying that, at what point? So then you got to find a spot to win 3 in a row, right? Yes. I'll just say 3 in a row. You got to start to give yourself a little bit of a cushion. And when's that going to be for the Browns? When is that coming?
Yeah.
That's why you needed that one today. Because now, again, right now, I know we know things could change in seconds in the National Football League, but right now, I can't feel good about that trip to Paul Brown Stadium next week.
Right.
How can you feel good about it? I mean, again, not all of what we've seen so offensively today. There's so much that's got to get ironed out in the course of this next week. And I got a feeling that Burrow and that offense will put up more than 15.
Yeah.
Like Pittsburgh only did today.
Right. And Mike, I'm just looking at the standings, right now. How about New Orleans again, like they did last year? They just, it's final. They beat New Orleans, or they beat Tampa Bay.
Correct.
We're taping this. So here's the AFC real quick. Yeah. AFC East, Buffalo Bills at 5-2, Patriots at 4-4. Patriots went to LA and beat the Chargers.
How about that?
Yeah. Baltimore Ravens, bye week. They're at 5-2. Bengals 5-3 in the AFC North. Steelers 4-3. Browns in last place right now at 4-4. Okay. Tennessee Titans rallied to win today. They have the best record in the AFC at 6-2, followed by the Colts at 3-5 in their division. And then the AFC West, the Las Vegas Raiders, with all the crap they had to go through with Chucky stepping down and all that, they're 5-2 in first place. The Chargers at 4-3, and the Broncos got another win. Hey, they're 4-4. So I'll add another win to that total of the teams the Browns beat. But the good thing for the Browns, and the reason I give you all these numbers, Michael, with 9 games left is I don't know if there is a clear-cut favorite in the AFC. If I had to point my finger at somebody, maybe the Bills. That's who I thought, in the before the season started, it would be the Bills and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a work in progress with a new offensive line and a struggling Patrick Mahomes. They're 3-4. So when we look at it from that perspective, is the sky really falling at 4-4 for the Browns? Or, is there time to get this thing fixed?
Well, how many times have you and I, when all the years we were together, we talk about there are things that go much further than the record, right? So
Right.
at 4-4, no, the sky's not falling. As we said, they're not in bad position given that and looking at it from that perspective at all. But the point is what kind of football are you playing, right?
Yep.
What kind of football are you playing? You put up 10 points in a home game today against a division opponent who, as Kenny knows them better than most. I mean, they're an okay football team. They're a decent football team, but they should not be holding you to 10 points at home and beating you. It just shouldn't happen. So again, I'm just probably, Kenny, as much as in. Got to go back to 2000, I'd say probably 2018, maybe early 19. Am I as unsettled and confused and not sure about this Cleveland Browns offense as really, any time in that amount of time in the last few years? I'm not sure, Ken. I wish I could, like I said, give you all the, no, everything's going to be okay and don't worry about a thing, and they'll get. What signs do you see that would say that's the case right now?
Yeah, Michael, this is far from what we thought this team would be, right? We thought this team at minimum at 5-3, right? Minimum 5-3 at this point, if not 6-2. A lot of people probably had them at the
absolutely
5-3,
mark,
right?
Absolutely, if not 6-2. Correct.
All right. With that in mind, I mentioned earlier in the podcast, trade deadline is Tuesday. You expect Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, and the Browns to either A, be looking for some help at whatever position that might be, with Conklin now going to be out for maybe an extended period of time with either an elbow or a wrist injury that sounded severe. Do you think they might go out and try and acquire an offensive lineman, or could they flip it and, make those phone calls and see if anybody's got any interest in one Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. What the last thing you just said to see, but Kenny, realistically, I'll be honest, and who would have thunk this before? I would be surprised if, given the amount that the team that's saying, yeah, we'll take them off your hands, is going to have to pay him, right?
Right.
I can't see anything more than being offered than a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, maybe, right? I mean,
6th-round pick. If they could get something higher than that, but I mean, and again, it's just so. I never thought this would come to this when Beckham became a Cleveland Brown. That we're talking about now for the betterment of the football team and for a more symmetric offense. You got to get rid of this guy.
Right.
You got it, because it just is not working. And again, I resisted that till the nth degree, but I've got nothing that I can use support of saying, well, stick with it anymore. It just, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame, but because there's just so much that's being left out on the field there that he could provide, right? And it's not happening. You may have to start going with the younger receivers. You may want Donovan Peoples-Jones gets back and, may have to start going with him and Higgins more and those guys and put them in a little bit more of a spotlight and see what they do, Ken.
I was calling this statement weekend in Ohio, and I think both teams failed to make a statement to being the Ohio State Buckeyes, even though they got a win over Penn State last night, 33-24, and the Browns for sure didn't make a statement today, losing at home to the Steelers 15-10. So I feel better, obviously, about the Buckeyes because they found a way to win, even though they dropped in one of the polls today. Michigan State leapfrogged them to number 5, and Ohio State dropped to 6. But Tuesday night, we'll find out what the committee thinks of Ohio State. It wouldn't surprise me if they were down at least at number 7. As they finally played a good team again and had some problems with Penn State, but came away the winner. So I feel better about them at least. But the Browns, Michael, I'm right now, they're discombobulated on offense. The defense looks like it's getting better. but I don't know which direction in the final 9 games this team will go with the injuries, with the offensive problems, and everything else. So it's going to be very, very interesting to watch the remaining 9 games and whether or not this team can get back in the divisional race or even has a shot at a wild card spot.
Well, yeah, that's very legitimate. And, if we said anything else right now, we'd be kind of pie in the sky in doing so. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, don't worry about it, everything's going to be okay. I don't see any signs of that. Now, again, was it a solid performance defensively today? But, and again, guys going down again today. Conklin went down. Who else went down? Denzel Ward. Yeah, that's right. And John Johnson went down. Denzel Ward didn't play again. Well, that's, he only plays 12 games a year anyway. So,
right.
That's par for the course. But yeah, you want to think they're a very deep football team and can overcome some of these things. Kenny, it's going to, they first and foremost, they got to get the offense fixed. And wouldn't we say, well, they're going to be one of the teams that average, I wouldn't be surprised. They average 24, 25, 26 points a game. You don't want to be one of the top offenses in the NFL. Man, it's not going in that direction right now. So these next couple of weeks, starting with Sunday, are going to be very, very important down at Paul Brown Stadium.
All right, Michael, that'll wrap up the autopsy of the Browns' 15-10 loss at home to the Pittsburgh Steelers to fall to 4-4. A couple of things to let everybody know about. We didn't forget about the bump and run hotline. We're going to get back to that here in the not too distant future, so keep that in mind. And also, Michael, I know you're reaching out to some basketball guys. I reached out to Mark Price, and he will indeed come on with us and talk some NBA hoops. We just got to nail down a date and time with Mark Price, so that's
same
coming
as
up.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas, exact same thing.
Yeah, so you're
so
working
that'll be
on
in
that.
the offing. Yeah.
So we are not ignoring the Cavaliers. It's a Sunday. We're taping this. It's Browns time. We will talk NBA and Cavs with some very special guests. Those two at least coming up here in the not too distant future. All right, Reg, we'll see where this goes next week, whether we're talking about a win in Cincinnati or a loss and the Browns dropping to under 500 next Sunday when we do some Browns talk. But we'll catch up midweek here and do a little World Series wrap-up maybe, as well as some NBA talk to keep everybody abreast of what's happening in those other sports.
Yeah, sounds good, Kenny. Always good stuff. We'll do it then.
All right, everybody out there, thanks for tuning in and checking us out here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Thanks once again to our producer extraordinaire, Dave Emmert, for getting this out to you. Chase, our CEO, Chase Smith, get better, get well, get back to 100%. Chase, keep doing what you're doing along the Press Play Podcast Network.